All right, let's get this show on the road. Tool haul, I'll probably break it up in 3 parts, make it about 30 minutes long, just because I know not everyone has time to sit there for 45 minutes to an hour, plus looking at tools. So, been absent for a while. I haven't been absent, I've been present. Give thanks to the Most High. And again, big shout out to Paul Mendenhall. I keep wanting to say Militant. I think his growing up we had a pastor named Militant, but it's Paul Mendenhall. I want to say 5626. This is YouTube tagline name. But loyal subscriber. Just want to throw that out there. So yeah, I did a quick short. I've been absent, but I've acquired tools in my absence from on here. So in the short yesterday, my Acura, which is right there, battery was dead. Charged it overnight. If you have a battery that's dead, like that one was saying, it was like, I think it was like 1.6 volt, and we all know that there's a certain point where a battery is not recoverable. Well, that battery was only 2 years old, purchased in June of 2023, because I wrote it on the thing and it was slightly faded. I could tell it was June of 2020 something. Couldn't tell a 3, and luckily I keep a log. I have a little logbook for all my vehicles that I annotate any type of maintenance history in. And that's just like my personal Carfax if I was supposed to sell these vehicles at some point in time to show maintenance history. So got a battery charged, obviously got a car moved out of here because yeah, I wanted to stack all the boxes to show you that it was quite a few boxes. It was probably over 56 individual packages, and each of these things are probably going to be individual, if you can imagine, are individual packages for the most part. But I'm glad I did that because unboxing stuff is kind of okay if you have time. So that's the intro. 2 minutes and 32 seconds in already, and we're just gonna go through, like I said, break it up. Everything is on the floor in this open space is fair game to be looked at. So we're gonna start over here and we're gonna stand up and get this motion light on. Don't let me forget to make mention of these. All right, so we're just gonna start over here. And the reason why I really wanna get this done, obviously, I enjoy watching these videos myself, and so I do know some people do also. It's hot outside, so I'm trying to get this done. If my foot appears in the video, I apologize. I'm going barefoot right now because my foot is sweating in my flip-flops. So going back to how I was born and raised for the most part. All right, here we go. I've came to determine that OTC is probably my favorite tool brand. And this is a OTC 7057 Universal Joint Service Set. Does anyone else think made in the USA with global source components is a way for manufacturers to remove, like, third-party countries? I don't know. It's definitely a marketing thing, because everyone on the internet seems to have a problem with stuff made in foreign countries. Which, I digress. U-joints. This actually came in a few moments ago. And it's just basically a way to service U-joints. So, never had to do it, but I have vehicles now that have U-joints, and so if I need to, I can probably reference this thing and get on board and get it done. It's a pretty large puller that you could probably repurpose for something else also. try to include price because I mean, if I remember correctly, I want to say this, I got it for around maybe I should just leave out the price because I'm gonna really skew stuff. Basically new, but I think I got it for around under 200 bucks. I'm gonna say under 200 bucks because I don't remember exactly. All right, so here's something I saw at some point in time. And again, I'm gonna keep repositioning the camera because I'm sitting on a stool, and yeah, just a lot to go through. So I apologize for all the moving parts here. But I saw this kit, again, another OTC. It's the 5180 portable multi-purpose press. This one actually says made in China. So it's not from globally sourced components. So, but basically it's a portable press. I don't like sitting behind the camera because this knob is gonna. So if we zoom in, got some adapter pieces with a cylinder assembly and a C-frame. And we'll take a look. These parts are heavy. I looked in this. Like I said, I saw this a few months ago being sold by someone in Florida, and I kind of wanted it. They were being sold. It was being sold for like, I want to say it was like $7.99. And yeah, I spent a lot of money on tools, but sometimes prices, I hesitate on prices. And this was a unique tool. I wasn't looking for it particularly at any point in time, but when I saw it, I kind of wanted it. It's just one of those situations where you learn about something new, and you see a purpose and you see a value. And I'll say this: there's a lot of tools that I currently have that I've never used, that I hope to at some point use. And I say that to say I buy tools because I know the purpose, not because I have a current need for it. Because I'll say some of the most enjoyable jobs I've done is when I have a project or come up with something in mind, and I walk into my garage or shed or whatever, and I have the tool. Maybe I just need the raw material, like some screws or nuts and bolts or whatever, if something from the hardware store, and I get the job done. So, but for some reason I wanted this. I have a 50-ton press, which I really haven't really used that much. I think I used it to straighten a bolt once. And I have a 10-ton, which I have some plans for. I picked it up from a Microsoft executive. He was, selling some stuff. So this is the base of the frame. Let me show you how this thing is supposed to look. So for context, when you assemble this thing, this is how it's supposed to look. So it's basically just a miniature press, especially if you're limited on space. Of course, you got your cylinder, which I haven't even messed with. I haven't even taken out the wrap, but it's pretty heavy duty. I'm doing this one-handed, try not to tip this thing. Of course, it's oily, so took off the cap. So there's that. Try not to drop it on my toes here, because that would be pretty self-critiquing. Let's try to protect these threads, and I apologize. So we'll put that back in there. Obviously, you got your adapter piece. I'm not going to go through details like this for everything. Ooh. And here's the C-frame. I mean, this is a chunk of steel. Doesn't say, most OTC C-press, it will say made in the USA or something in that group right there. This does not say that. But again, made in China. So I eventually have plans to maybe use this, whether that's put this in my garage or elsewhere as a quick little convenient press. But yeah, this was, the guy was initially asking, I want to say it was like $6.99 or $6.99 or $5.99, and I offered $4.50. And I want to say shipping was free, but it's definitely a unique, somewhat niche tool, I guess. The only thing I don't like about OTC cases are the handles. I wish they folded down so that wouldn't, take up space. That's like 2 inches. That could potentially be utilized elsewhere, but just standard OTC. Oh, this one actually folds. So maybe the ones made in the USA fold and the ones from China don't. And the cases are pretty much the same length and width, just different thicknesses. So that's convenient. All right, so the history behind these tools. There's a gentleman, lives pretty close by, about 10 minutes away. He's going out of, he's closing up shop, retiring, selling some stuff. I bought some stuff from him a couple months ago, like maybe 6 months ago. And to include those things once we get to them. And yeah, I bought some stuff from him. And when I went to go pick those stuff I just showed you, the first time I went over there, I think he was still in the process of organizing and sorting stuff out. So stuff wasn't laid out in a logical, easy to look through manner. And so this time I went, he had some stuff. And actually I got to reach back out to him and apologize because I just picked up stuff and started putting it on the floor as if like, hey, here's my shopping cart. And he had a pry bar that he said he liked, and I mentioned, if you like this stuff, he said he used it the previous day. I was like, hey, I got 2 Mayhew long ones, and I want to say that maybe the one he had was Snap-on 40-inch solid. And yeah, I told him if he ever sells it, let me have it. I might talk him into selling it or something. He used to work on semis, has his own business or stuff, so, but he's selling me all this, and he threw out a price to make me laugh, I guess, and then he threw out another price, which I think he was more set on. And I was like, at this point I've established a rapport with him, trustworthy rapport, and I was like, let me just take this from you, and I'll look and see what these items cost. So all these items, how much would you say all this stuff would cost, including this vise, these cases, those, all these things, which I'll show you momentarily, that's on the floor, not to include this thing right here, just this. I won't tell you what price he threw out, but I don't think the items are going to amount to that amount, especially in a used condition. I'll see what new is, and then obviously they're used, so they're not going to catch new price, because that would be silly to purchase used for a new price. So I still got to, it's been a couple of days, I still got to get to him before he texts and asks. But at this point I've established a trustworthy rapport. And yeah, if I come under his price, I might go back and pick up some stuff and meet him at a price that he's asking. But that's just doing business. Like when I go to sell this stuff, because you can't carry this stuff with you. There's going to come a point where this stuff is not going to mean anything to you. And I don't mean to go off on a little segue over there, but yeah, I've had folks pass on, and there was stuff that they cared about, and I guarantee you when they're on their deathbed, that stuff doesn't matter to them. So you got to realize what's valuable to you. I realize all this stuff is all materialistic stuff, and you might be able to only use it for a certain amount of time. Anyway, he had a vise that was mounted to the table, a big vise. I don't know what brand it is. I'm not sure if he's going to get rid of it eventually, but I might ask him and see if he wants to put that on my shopping list. But this is a 4.5-inch, there we go, made in the USA. As you can tell from the red, I don't want to spin it on my floor, because my floor is fancy, but I might have to. But as you can see, it's your favorite brand, and it looks like it might have a part number there, which might help me look this thing up. 111804. Looks like there's another number right there. So in pretty decent condition. When I saw it, I knew exactly what I was going to use it for, because I was thinking about going to Harbor Freight and buying a vise. It looks like the little rubber stopper is missing from right here, but that's no big deal. That's easy. You can just replace it. Just get a new one. Just slip it over it so it's not banging back and forth. But yeah, in super great condition. Again, this thing is awkward because I'm standing behind the camera and trying not to tip it over. So that's why but anyway, I won't open it all the way. I mean, the jaws are intact as if they were replaced and or not used heavily. I mean, it's a smaller vise, so you're not gonna get much done. I mean, Wilton made these. It would be nice to get one of the Wilton 12-inch ones made in the USA or something, like an old school one. Like the new one, probably not, because who knows where they're made. But yeah, and something to make mention of the OTC C-frame press. You can mount it vertically or horizontally, and it's obviously you need a hydraulic pump to pump fluid to it, to that cylinder. So I have this. I have my my DeWalt 8-inch vise right there on a table, and I have a Posilock hydraulic vise. So I'm pretty well vice, or should I say versed in vices. All right, so let's go on and look at some of these tools that I need to appraise. I'm not a fan of this thing. Man. All right, so let's just look at this real quick. Zoom out here. Is it zoomed? Yep, I guess. So I just saw this. I guess I was looking at quality stuff, maybe name brand stuff. Pretty decent shape, I guess, for a used tool. This is a D481290, or actually no, it's the SHL 80A, so 82. I get annoyed when people do this, but here I am doing it. Something I always look at when I buy like used ratchet is to see if the screws have been tampered with. I asked him if this was rebuilt. He said no, and clearly the screws have not really been tampered with. I mean, I guess they could have, but they're not rounded out. I think he said he greased it though, so he would have removed it. So these are just threaded all the way through, so you can remove this plate and grease it. And clearly, it's a 1/2-inch drive. I don't know. This is what, 18 inches maybe. I don't know. So there's that. Again, I just picked this up randomly. Actually, this is a SSD MR48 USA. See if it has any bits in there. I didn't even check. Yeah, I got like a number 2 and a flathead, and it looks like it has a number 3 on the end. I have a DeWalt. One of my favorite screwdrivers is a DeWalt that I have, that I use around the house, and this too is reversible, ratchet and reversible. Apparently it's a Dale Earnhardt. Yeah, Dale Earnhardt Jr. I mean, I'm not a NASCAR person, but I guess I'll have to clean these up a little bit. Clearly, they're used. What can you expect? Been looking for larger tools. I keep watching searching YouTube for heavy duty mechanic toolbox store, and I see guys using 1/4 inch and 3/8 and some 1/2 inch stuff. Not really seeing much heavy duty tools, but just gotta come up with my own. This one has been beat on because we couldn't get a 1/2 inch drive or a 1 inch drive. Well, sorry, not 3/4 inch drive in here, and that's because it has a little lip. So I'm gonna file it down, and I told him that, so I can file it down if I need to. This is a no name. It says a pin. Pin needs to be greased. I had to hammer it to get it to work, but This has a no name. And then there's this guy who is a Herbrand made in the USA H31. Again, a 3/4 inch drive. Never seen this neck on any extension before, but I guess this kind of prevents the socket from rounding out. Maybe I don't think it gets in the way. You got a hole there, yeah, and they're the same length, I think. Yeah, they're the same. So maybe they're the same brand. Oh wait, here it is. It's a Proto 5663 USA Professional. That's cool. It's a Proto. So didn't have a name on the shank, but it does have a name on the neck there. That's cool. All right. This video might be into like several parts here because he showed me these Autoload Snap-on. I think I've seen them before, but he had a couple laying around, so I just picked it up. Like I said, I still need to pay him for this stuff, so really these aren't owned by me yet. And to the point that he had this one, he lost the little screw from, and so he just Loctite it, some wire. Still works. It's still actually smooth, butter smooth. You just never, these things, box cutters, it's not about the brand. You just got to have several box cutters just laying around randomly. You just, yeah. Saw this. It's kind of like your, well, it is your Knipex Cobra by Mac Tools. Saw it, know the use of these, and so I picked it up. Clearly has seen some use. You know, I've had several people comment on videos saying, well, do you use your tools or do you just buy them and, you know, for show? So I stopped buying new tools. I started just buying used tools so it can appear like I use them, you know, so that's that. I'm just kidding, but you have those folks out there who, if your tools aren't beaten to hell, you know, they wonder why do you have them. So here's some taps and some helicoil inserts and stuff. Just a unique kit. This is I don't know what brand it is, but I just threw it in a lot. You just never know when you can use something like this. This is it's like an oil made for Snap-on in Mexico. If you think I'm lying, right there. It's a diagnostic gauge set for we'll get through this and then we'll break this video. Oh, I actually didn't see this. What is this? Looks like I might be missing some fittings here, but the gauge looks to be in decent shape. It's like an oil pressure gauge or something. It says Snap-on. It's been used 100 psi. But this is cool. You can put your bibs and bobs in that little corner. Again, I don't know if these actually work or if they're compromised in any way, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just an oil pressure gauge. And here's another one. It's a vacuum pressure gauge. And I know some of you guys are wondering, what are you doing with all these tools? Well, I don't know. I'm just gonna say God has a plan for them. So here's all, well, some of your common fittings that you could use for tapping into a vacuum hose or something. And then here is the gauge itself, 15 psi. So obviously for vacuum purposes, you're gonna be pretty low on the psi scale. And this is just to read the vacuum. The hose actually feels pretty good. Some of these tools I have in other brands, like Gear or OTC actually, and maybe Gear Wrench. But for the price, we'll see how much he wants for those. Again, I'm gonna look those up. Unfortunately, there's no part number on these, so we're just gonna have to see what they're being sold for and compare, contrast. Here is a Snap-on MT33C diesel compression gauge made in the USA. So I do have a diesel now in the form of my bread truck, my step van. And so this one goes up to 800 PSI. Again, who knows if this is missing some fittings. I imagine this probably is, I don't know. So, got to take all those factors in as I come up with a price, which I need to do this weekend for sure. Let's just get this pry bar out of here. You've seen it on the ground. Let's see. Again, this is a Snap-on. It looks like it's a SPB S36 USA. It's a 36-inch pry bar. I have plenty of pry bars, but I want to say this one just feels a little bit stout. And a 36-inch, I want to say I have a Mayhew that's 36 inches, and it's a little bit thinner on the bar. Here's a Snap-on impact driver set. It's a PB108A with a case, made in the USA. Again, I was just looking through the lot. I think he sold some stuff. He said he sold this large Snap-on box or Mac or something. I have these in Vessel. Again, these are easy to find if you're looking for part numbers. I don't know. Got some bits. It has a couple that I found out were broken. So maybe at some point in time, if I ever visit a Snap-on truck in my future, I can, get those replaced. I thought there was a third one that was broken. Yeah, I thought I found 3, but I guess it's just 2. Those are just extras anyway. And all these, yep. It's a Snap-on. Yep. They're Snap-on bits and bobs. So coming up on the end of part 1, and starting to realize this is going to be a long video if I keep talking about these tools. All right, so this is a compression gauge set. One of these hoses is slightly cracking, so I made mention of that. I think this is a fixer thread, so a tap. Come on. Made in South Korea, product of Australia. Fixer thread. So I think this is okay, so the first one I showed you is the metric size, and this is the SAE component. So pretty much the same thing. Just and this right here is the first tool I've owned of this brand. I saw it, and what I said to him, I was like, there's a time when you see good tools, and so you just grab it when you can. This is a Cummins Pro industrial tool set. It's pretty heavy for what it is. Pretty low profile, but I'll show you. So what this is some super large Allen. Like this is a 5/8 Allen. This is a 9/16. Come on. Oh, wrong slot. There we go. Again, holding the camera just makes everything difficult. So a complete set, the only one, that's the SAE sizes. I'll just zoom in. Those are the sizes in SAE. And these are the metric sizes. This is the only one that's different. You can see this one has a ball on it. It's a 10 millimeter. So clearly something about 10 millimeters in it. All kind of tools tend to go missing. I mean, look at this 17 millimeter. I don't know what I would use a 17 millimeter hex for, but yeah. Wow. See, this is why sometimes I don't think I think that just told me he used the SAE sizes the most. And then you can hang it to a wall right here. It has hooks on it. So 32 minutes in, we'll take a pause and we'll make another video, maybe right here to right there, and then maybe this is gonna be a 4-part video. So actually, before I forget, let's just talk about this. This was also from that gentleman. I need to service my box truck, and these are, should be Shell. Yeah, Shell Rotella SAE 15W40 engine oil. So he had, what is 3, 6, 9, 10 of these gallons, so 10 gallons of these, and I just picked it up. My box truck, I looked it up, it holds like 6 gallons, so I'll be able to do it 1.5 oil changes basically. And these are, when I looked up, I paid $155 for all of this, and when I looked up on AutoZone, it was over $300 to purchase 10 of these. So for $155, I must have gotten a deal. First person I ever seen talk about Rotella is Diesel Creek, and so I know he messes with a lot of old stuff, and so apparently that's good for that type of stuff. Anyway, these are the tools we looked at. Like I said, with the exception of those 2 OTC cases at the bottom, everything else is unpaid for, and I gotta appraise how much it costs. Let me know how much you think some of these stuff, how much do you think that vise should cost, and then some of these items. I know people won't comment, but someone comments and I'll appreciate it. All right, that's part 1. As me always say, like and hit the thing.